Welcome to Monster Man.
Oh, hey, arr. I went through them all in one shot. Guess what, Jack?
What, Hunter?
Do you know this guy that's over here?
That guy, I don't know what side he's on.
Yeah.
The extremely handsome one?
Good bucket hat.
That, my friends, is Terry M. West, who I think we've been talking for a couple of years to get you on the show.
Oh,
and now that how easy it was to work it out, I can't figure out why we didn't do this so much sooner.
I think it was those pictures that you threatened to release.
You know, that gets me in trouble every damn time. For those of you who might not know, and if you don't know, what the hell are you watching this show for? Get away from Monster Men. You have to know. I'll read your bio here, Terry. So okay. Terry M. West is an American horror author. His best-known works, What Price Gory, Carnex, Dreg, and his Night Thing series, which hooked me on him. He was a finalist for 2 International Horror Guild Awards, and he was featured on the TV Guide Sci-Fi host list for his YA graphic novel series, Confessions of a Teenage Vampire, which is right up Jack's alley.
Oh, yeah.
And it's YA. Terry was born in Texas, lived in New York for 2 decades, and currently hangs his hat, literally, in California.
That's it.
Welcome to the show, my buddy.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this for a long time.
Yeah, no, we are super thrilled. I'm going to start out with something. We were talking in pre-show while we were, cursing the gods of technology to get this to work. You used to live here on the East Coast, and you said you missed Chiller.
Oh, yes.
Jack and I will be going to in a couple of weeks.
Mm.
What is the funniest thing or person you've ever seen at Chiller?
David Hess.
David Hess, really?
Oh, he was great. He was hilarious. I ran into him. I remember standing next to a stall to him. It's, in the bathroom at the show.
Oh, man.
And he was just cracking me up, I'm sure the cleaning staff didn't appreciate that. But he was really funny. He definitely wasn't a straight ahead blinders, whistling, looking up. He was joking around. David was a great guy. Like I said, really funny. Not at all like what you'd expect. I mean,
right. Yeah. Speaking of the Chiller bathroom, what was it? 2 years ago, I was in the bathroom with my friend, and Jan Michael Vincent was in the stall next to us. And his hand is, the person who was helping, because I don't think he had legs at the time,
right,
was nowhere to be seen, and he's trying to extricate himself from the stall. I was like,
oh, God.
Oh, I was like, damn it. He needs an airwolf for the bathroom. Oh, man.
Yeah. Poor bastard.
There was one time we were there, and we're in a room, and I think Angie Everhart was at a table right in front of us. And right next to me steps Tom Savini. And I'm like, oh, my God, Tom Savini's right next to me. So as subtle as anything, I just start yelling to him, hey, Tom Savini, look, it's Tom Savini. And Tom Savini is now like, what the hell? Suddenly, it was bad weather. There was a power outage, and the room goes pitch black. This was back before cell phone cameras, and I whip out my little compact Canon digital camera, and I just snap a picture in the dark with a flash and totally flash Tom Savini in the face. So somewhere in the archives of my photos is like a whitewashed picture of Tom Savini going like squinting.
Oh, that's great. I've got a good Savini story too when you're ready.
Hit us with it.
I think everybody that's ever gone to a convention more than 2 or 3 times probably has a good Savini story. But you remember, Hunter, I was telling you that there was a guy who said he used to work with Laurel Productions.
Yes.
And he optioned my movie, my novel Dreg, and this was back early 90s. And I was going to Chiller, and Savini was going to be there. And he said, hey, tell him I said hi, drop my name, and I said, oh, okay. So I went up to Tom, and he was getting his stuff ready, and I went over and I said, oh, hey, I won't say the guy's name. I said, oh, so-and-so said to say, hey. And he just stops and looks at me, and he goes, is this a PG-13 show?
Yeah, go ahead. You're fine.
He's like, who the fuck is that? Who the fuck are you? Just starts going off on me, right? And I literally almost fall back. Like, he used to work. Okay, I'm sorry. He just left.
Oh my God.
But years later, when I started doing some film work, he actually became pretty. We became pretty friendly. I never brought that incident up though, because there was
a good idea.
That was around the time he was doing the Night of the Living Dead remake.
Oh yeah.
When I ran into him, and I think there was a lot of really weird stuff going on in his life at that point.
What'd you think of that remake?
I mean, I liked it. It was okay. I mean, Tom Towles and Patricia Tallman, like Tony Todd. I mean, great cast.
Yeah.
I mean, really great cast. I mean, to me, nothing. I mean, if anybody that knows me knows that Night of the Living Dead, the original, is my all-time favorite.
Right.
Of anything. I heard stories that, like, I think Romero had to get kind of involved too. To, like, I don't know. I talked to somebody that was a PA, and from what I understand, that was a pretty crazy shoot. But I do like that. The one thing I did like about it was how I think they made Barbara more of a badass.
As opposed to a sniveling mess.
Right. That was a little ahead of its time back then.
Yeah. I need to revisit that one. That's one of those ones I saw once or twice, and I have a feeling if I went back and watched it, I'd be like, oh, what am I thinking? This was great.
Look, if you watch the Day of the Dead next remake from Bulgaria, you will really appreciate Tom Savini's Night of the Living Dead.
Oh my God.
Well, let's face it, Dawn of the Dead changed my life.
Yes.
Yep. Changed the way I look at things.
Yeah. I snuck into the theater because it was X-rated, and I was like, I think 14, 15 when it came out. But I had this. So I went and saw it, and I remember the level of gore. I'd never seen anything like that, man. It was just mind-blowing.
Jack and I had similar experiences because we grew up in neighboring states, and it played in a double feature with the Kentucky Fried Movie.
Oh, another one.
That's how we saw that movie. So I got more boobs than I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah, right.
With humor I'd never seen, and then I got gore. I was like, oh my! I was dizzy coming out of that.
That's a lot to take. How old were you when you saw that?
I was probably 11.
Oh my God! My kid that you guys just met it before we went live. He's 11. I could not imagine.
No, I couldn't when my kids were 11 either. But I was different.
What? It's so funny because we were just in our last podcast. We're talking about. I was watching horror movies on Channel 9 and Channel 11 and Channel 5 in New York. They just showed stuff whether it was in the afternoon or at midnight, and I was just my parents were just like whatever, and so I was just watching stuff, and I was 6, 7, 8 years old, getting the hell scare. I remember watching Let's Scare Jessica to Death. My father was watching it, and he goes upstairs, and I'm just sitting by the fire watching this. It terrified me. And it's supposed to be coming to Shudder. I can't wait to watch it again because I'm gonna be like, I can't wait.
It's on there.
I can't find it when I was searching. I'll have to
Arrow. I was doing some reviews. Arrow sent me actually a Blu-ray, like for review.
Yeah,
really nice print they came out with. It's really good.
I'd actually like to see it where it doesn't look like the film was dragged through a swamp and stomped on and set on fire.
Yeah, that's what they did. They cleaned it up. It looks really good. But getting to that, like about your parents. I mean, when I was about the same age, 8, 9, 10. I mean, I used to have this uncle. He's the sole reason that I'm the weirdo I am today. Big horror fan. And I remember him and my aunts. They would all take me to these like triple, horror features, and just sit there and let me watch every form of like gore and violence. But the minute a boob came on, there was the hands. Oh, look!
Get your hand away from me, sir.
By a boob.
See, that's funny because you have a lot in common with thousands of strippers. Your lives are all changed by uncles.
There you go. Oh man! I used that line actually. I'd heard it, but I used that line in Heroin and the Magic Now about the guy that was, the pornographer that was making zombie porn. Mm-hmm. And one of his lines is, if it wasn't for abusive dads, there would be no porn industry.
Exactly. They serve a purpose. Little did we know.
Yeah, little do they know.
Now, speaking of movies, you, sir, I think you might be the first guest we've ever had who's actually made movies. I gotta think. Maybe, yeah. You win.
Well, we've had Lyle Blackburn.
I'll admit to two of them.
Yeah, how'd you get into that?
Well, when I was going to Chiller Theater, it was about the time that mini DV technology came out.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a kid, I had done like 8mm, stuff, real pro stuff, soft, and shooting somebody about here in a headshot because this lens was here and the viewfinder was up here.
Right.
Really, really bad. But I had gotten friendly with a lot of indie filmmakers. Like there was at the time there was Scooter McRae and Bookwalter. And, and EI was, independent, EI independent was like involved in all that.
Mm-hmm.
So I went out and I bought a mini DV camera and I turned my comic Blood for the Muse into a movie, into a black and white kind of art house horror movie. And I started PAing for local production companies. And I got an opportunity to write. I got an opportunity like director for hire stuff. I mean, not stuff I'm particularly, crazy about now, but it was a paycheck and education at the time. And then I had an opportunity. I mean, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Flesh for the Beast, but that was the one I did for Media Blasters in 2003. And
I've never seen it. Now, where can we watch? Is it anywhere?
Oh, you could get their copies. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere, but they're copies floating around. Media Blasters, it was their first production, and I wrote and directed it. We had Carolyn Monroe and Aldo Sambrell.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
Carolyn Monroe.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
I love her, and she loves my daughter.
Yeah,
She still ignored me for my daughter. I was like, whatever.
Nice.
At least I get to stand around you and sniff your hair.
There you go. Still beautiful woman.
Yes.
I've got the Hammer Glamour book,
Mm-hmm.
and you just go through it, and you're like, my God. And in a sea of just beautiful women in that book, she still stands out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But after Flesh for the Beast, I tried to co-produce some stuff. I starred in a couple of movies that I'm pretty proud of. Are you guys familiar with Alan Rowe Kelly?
Yes.
Did, I'll Bury You Tomorrow was his premiere. Then he did. I was in one with him and a bunch of other actors called The Bloodshed. He did one called Gallery of Fear, and he did one Tales of Poe. He did a few years ago too. But he's an incredible filmmaker. And I acted in two of his films. I acted in Joseph Monks, who was the creator of the Cry for Dawn comic.
Joe Monks?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember him.
He directed a film after he went blind.
That's amazing.
It is called The Bunker, and I was the star. I was this big, scary kind of kidnapper, character in it, and it was pretty incredible. I mean, he did the whole thing, and he would have to call upon what he could recall, like, hey, remember that scene in Jaws? That's how he kind of laid things out.
But him being blind, how could he direct? I guess he was just going by what he heard.
Well, he was depending on me, because I had a lot of experience with it, and he was depending on everybody to be his eyes, basically,
right?
For that. But it's a good film. I mean, he did a really good job, and he was very involved. And then but the only thing I hated was when we were first filming. I'm supposed to be this very just nasty, mean character. And I was always wearing a gas mask, and I'm going into this bunker where I'm torturing this girl. And they said, hey, we're going to put a big, heavy wood thing, that you have to duck to go under. Right. To give the impression of how big you are. I kept forgetting to duck. I was so angry by the end of that day.
The man is concussed.
Oh yeah. Every time God damn it. But it was fun. We shot in Florida though in the summer, and it was pretty miserable. But that was fun. And then honestly, I kind of made a decision that I didn't really want to direct anymore. It was exhausting. I wasn't that crazy about most of my work, if I'm being honest. And I just felt I was better behind the typewriter.
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, you're damn good behind the typewriter.
Thank you, buddy. So are you.
Out of everything, what's your worst day on any set? Like, what's one thing that happened that sticks out in your mind where you're like, oh God, if I could erase that day on the set, I would.
Oh,
you don't have to name names.
Probably days where I just, I was on one shoot and we were working upside down. We were working nights and sleeping days, and I had 2 medications and I adjusted them because I thought that's what I was supposed to do, but it wasn't.
Oops.
I was a raving lunatic. I mean, I was everything I hated,
Right.
I do not like ogres or, like taskmasters, but I turned into that. And I had like no patience for anybody or anything. I kept having to step off the set and stuff, So yeah, I'd like to go back because I had a reputation as a pretty easygoing guy, pretty, easy to work with. And I remember too, and this is when the thought occurred to me, and it kind of made me want to go into writing, to go back to writing more, is that what I hated about filmmaking was that everybody wanted to have control of your baby.
Mm-hmm.
The actors want to change lines. They don't want to do this. They don't want to do that. Or they want to, everybody wants to change things.
Yeah.
And I was such an easygoing guy. I'd never really fought, but I always hated it. I'd always let things go, let them, put things in a certain way or do things in a certain light that I always in the editing room was like, damn it, I should have really put my foot down, and I think that's kind of what killed filmmaking for me. I didn't want to negotiate. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I wish I could Kubrick or Hitchcock, I don't care, just do it.
Right. Yeah, I guess I could see directing is not for the good guy. There's got to be some prick side of you there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because everybody wants to, they want to bring their vision to it, and it's just not easy.
Right.
But when you're behind the keyboard, I mean, there's any characters aren't talking back to you.
Well, sometimes they do, and then it's really terrifying.
Yes, that is true.
Did you see? I'm sorry, Jack. I keep.
Go ahead.
Oh, all right. Did you see the documentary Blood, Boobs, and Beasts about Don Dohler, the director who did a lot of trauma stuff?
Mm.
He did sci-fi and horror. What you're describing to me, kind of like indie filmmaking and how it can just, wear you down.
Oh, yeah.
That's a movie. Check that out. It's like an 1:10 documentary. I think it's on Amazon Prime.
I will find it. Sounds interesting.
I think you'll really like that. There's no glamour to that whatsoever.
Oh, no.
And, even at one point he gets diagnosed with cancer, and everyone's like, they're interviewing people who go, oh, yeah, Don will always make movies. And they go to him and he goes, I'm not going to make some fucking movies. I want to do something that matters. So it was really funny. Yeah. And Joe Ripple was directing movies for him. I don't know if you remember him from Horrified and
Yeah.
I think you really like that documentary. It's really cool.
Oh, I'm gonna look it up, man. That sounds really interesting.
It must be weird being a filmmaker as a horror fan, because from all the podcasting that we do, we are guys who love horror movies. Yet when we discuss them, we'll be like, "This movie was so dumb. This is so stupid," or whatever. And we're being so critical. Yet we actually love all these movies. And the ones that we're critical about, we're like, we're saying this, but at the same time, if I had to choose between watching this and the Academy Award nominated things, I'm picking, Blood Diner.
Yeah. Oh, Blood Diner's a classic. Yeah. I met Michael Sonye.
Yeah.
Sonye. He's the director. I met him at a Scare LA. He's a great guy. Really cool. Yeah.
Man.
Super guy.
Weird vision.
Yes. Yeah, dude, when that guy runs over that hobo, and back over him 20 times. and then the cop asked the Emmy, how did he die? Heart attack. You don't love that.
That's one of there's movies every now and you go like, how? It's not what kind of drugs. It's what was. I want the sheer weight of the drugs. How many pounds of whatever you were taking were you ingesting to do this?
Yeah.
I mean, crazy stuff, man.
Well, talking about though, like you guys, you're into horror, but like you create it. And one thing I always promised myself, was that when I started losing my love for the genre because of what I do, I stopped doing what I do.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that's what I just take whatever I watch or read. I just take it for what it is, and
Yeah. There's so much out there. I can always find something that's going to hit me in some sort of horror erogenous zone.
Right.
And luckily, I'm still, I may be 50, but I'm completely immature, so I can still enjoy something that. Yeah, I'm an old man.
I'm 35.
So that's what I suspected.
Let's reverse that.
So, what was the first book that you ever wrote, and how did that find its way into the world, shall we say?
Okay, I'll be totally honest with you. The very first book I wrote was a Hardy Boys book.
Nice.
Yes.
Get the F out of here.
I was a ghostwriter for Franklin W. Dixon.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm. The first one I wrote was called Web of Horror.
Oh, so you got horror in the title.
Yeah, I got horror in the title, and that was the only thing I didn't want them to call it. I said, as long as they don't call it Web of Horror.
Do they give you notes on what Joe and Frank are like, or
no? They give you well, they do. They give you a Bible, and
right.
Basically you read it and it breaks it down. Like every chapter has to end on a cliffhanger,
right?
And the thing the boys will do or won't do is spelled out. And I will never forget. I wrote a book called Bad Rap, and they were trying to prove the innocence of a rapper that was accused for murder. And I remember talking to the editors about it, and I had said there were bushes, that someone was hiding in a bush in near a mall, and I had a 45-minute argument with an editor about bushes being in front of malls. I've never seen bushes in front of malls, and of course there are bushes in front of malls. And then I remember I had a line with Joe saying to this criminal as he's being taken away, "See you, wouldn't want to be you," right?
Right.
They changed it to "See you, I'm glad I'm not good."
Oh, righty. Yeah, that sounds right.
But
now this must have been after the Parker Stevenson, Sean Cassidy.
Oh, yeah.
So when you were writing them, were they what you were picturing, or was it the oil painting covers from the old books that you were picturing the characters as?
Oh no, definitely Cassidy and Stevenson.
Nice.
I think.
I loved that show.
A little bit younger because they were about 45 when they played.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pamela Sue Martin as Nancy Drew. She was
That's right.
Yeah.
How on earth does your first writing gig get to be ghostwriting one of the biggest series of the 20th century?
It's the same old story, man. It's like who you know.
Yeah.
I had just moved to New York, and I was, anxious to do a writer for hire career. And just through friends, I was given the opportunity. I mean, I had to have the chops, or I wouldn't have got the job.
Right.
But but I was given an opportunity, to send some samples, and then they were okay with them. They're like, okay, yeah, let's go. And I think I did 3. Then I wrote a bunch of, YA books for a while I was still submitting, my adult horror, everywhere.
Right.
I could wallpaper my room with rejections from David Silva from the horror show.
Just David Silva alone.
Just David Silva alone. Chapin King at Twilight Zone. They were real nice, but they were, no, sorry.
Oh, Twilight Zone was like when I started writing in earnest. It wasn't around anymore, and I wished I could go back in time just so I could be rejected.
I sent a story to them, and they made the mistake of telling me, "Oh, this comes wonderfully close. Keep trying."
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, let me come up with something else.
Right. Oh my
Never
God.
got it, but.
Did you ever publish anything in Cemetery Dance magazine?
No. Oh, well, I finally have something coming out, sort of a Cemetery Dance. I wrote an article on Bronze Age Marvel for, remember Scream Factory?
Oh yeah.
Well, Cemetery Dance is doing a best of, and they're going to include one of my articles in there.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, that's kind of in there. I said that like, hey, I'm finally in Cemetery Dance, and Chismar gives me a little like, and I'm like, give me a little more than like, buddy.
Well,
beat my head against the wall for 30 years.
Yeah. Is it going to be in the print magazine?
No, it's going to be a book, like a big, thick collection. Yeah.
I'm in their New Voices in Terror collection.
Oh, nice.
Supposed to be published in 2012. We're still waiting.
What, Scream Factory or Cemetery Dance?
Cemetery Dance.
Not so new names in horror.
So yeah, I was so excited. I'm like, oh my God, yes, I'm finally gonna have something in Cemetery Dance, because for me that was like that was my brass ring, right?
Oh God, yeah.
I love that magazine, and then it never came out, and I'm like, Jesus. And then I contact somebody I had met at a horror find convention, Norm Prentice, and we started talking, and that led to me. I do a column on their online part, but which actually to me is better, because I can actually write something and see it come out within this decade.
Right.
So
yeah.
If
you
I
can
write
reach a lot more people too.
Right. If I write an article today, I'll probably see it in 2 or 3 weeks.
There you go.
So, it's awesome. I get paid, they pay you electronically. I'm like, man, I would just like one like paper check with Cemetery Dance signed by Richard Chismar. Well, I'll request that. They can pay me half if I get the check.
Be right.
Throwing it out there. You can pay me half. So you're submitting for horror. You're writing Hardy Boys, which this is the blow your balls off moment of this interview for me. You wrote Hardy Boys.
Technically, I was supposed to never divulge that, but Jesus.
Exclusive.
It's been a long time. I'm pretty sure people don't really believe Franklin W. Dixon's 135 years old.
Yeah, he's partying with VC Andrews, cranking out.
Yeah, I heard you mention that the other day. Flowers in the Attic on the last episode, right?
Yeah, just keep. Hey, she's so prolific.
Terrible series. I read every book. I couldn't help
Oh
it.
my God, did you?
Yeah, I did. Petals on the Wind. If There Be Thorns.
My wife was so into those books, and I was like, "Can you stop now? Just read your Sweet Valley High books. Stop reading this."
Right. There you go.
So what's the first horror book that for adults that took off for you?
It was Dreg. Which was an interesting story about Dreg. Are you familiar with the horror artiste Glenn Chanborg?
Yes.
I'm not.
He works for Richard Chismar in Cemetery Dance.
Yeah, he's great.
He's fantastic. Oh, I knew him before he started doing art for Stephen King and Chismar and all these other guys. He and I he loved Dreg. So he did he was going to illustrate the whole book.
Oh my God.
And he did about 16 pages, and it was really phenomenal. His artwork's really good. And then we kind of, it just wasn't something I could finance. I wish I could have at the time, and it wasn't even that he wasn't willing to keep doing it. I have this thing about not wanting people to, to starve working for me. Mm-hmm. So, I'll never forget. He did a story called The Oaken Door. He fully illustrated a short story of my buddy, Dan Burr, and we were going to put it in a Blood for the Muse issue. and Chismar contacts Chadbourne for Grave Tales. They're comic.
Oh, I have a bunch of them.
Yes, issue number 1, The Oaken Door. That was my story for Blood for the Muse.
No way.
Yeah, Glenn calls me and he goes, "Hey man, Richard Chismar is starting a new comic line and he wants to know if he can use something." And I showed him a few pages of Oaken Door, and I was like, oh, "Do it." How could I? Not just him, but my friend Dan. I'm like, "Of course, do it."
Yeah.
I mean, shit. Yeah, there's no way I would hold someone back from that. So.
See, once again, nice guy.
Nice guy finished first.
You tell them no, you son of a
No,
bitch.
Glenn, like Terry who?
Say, I'm Terry M. West, you son of a bitch. I actually have that issue in a container behind me. I'm going to actually pull that out after this interview and reread it.
Yeah, for a long time, I said, when I was doing comics, I was like, or even like film, I was like, I'm the Roger Corman of like horror artists and writers. It's like they come to work for me for a day and then they go like,
Hey, you know what? That's a great thing.
Well, yeah, but,
You'll be canonized one day if you live to 90 something. And...
Right. The people are like, "Oh, what are you doing?" Having a sandwich.
So what's the latest I know, but the audience doesn't know? What's the new thing that you want to put out there into the horror universe?
Well, right now I'm currently working on the believe it or not 5th Night Things book.
Oh, awesome. Jack, you have to read these.
Yep.
He was telling me about this.
You will cream in your jeans over these books.
Jack, if you give me your info when this is all over, I'll send you some books.
Excellent.
No problem. But I'm working on Night Things, Nowhere to Hide with a Y. And basically in this, hold on one sec. What's up? Okay. Bye.
Checking in on you. Sorry.
I'm fine.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay, buddy. It's my kid.
He's still breathing.
He's still here, yeah. But so Nowhere to Hide. Basically, I had these 2 storylines, Dracula versus Frankenstein, which I know Hunter's read,
Yes.
and Undead and Kicking, and Undead and Kicking was the 3rd book in the series, and basically the final book of the first story arc is going to be called The Horde Frequency, and that's trying to finish that this year too. But Nowhere to Hide basically has all these little subplots that make more sense in Undead and Kicking, and the whole thing takes place between book 2 and book 3, and it just sort of shores things up a little bit more before we go into the final big confrontation. And what I did with a lot of the classic monster characters for Night Things was I just sort of I took them in their original literary element and then just imagined them, now because of this event that causes all of these supernatural creatures to all of a sudden be known to mankind. And so, we have, Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, zombies, mummies, they all kind of, but it's also done very much like Sopranos in a way, there's a lot going on.
Well, Paulie Walnuts looks a lot like Grandpa Munster, so.
Well, that's true.
They've got the white.
Hyman.
But anyway, this is the next one, and I'm repurposing or sort of, I'm doing the Jekyll Hyde character, but this is the first character that I've done in the book that I'm literally just totally revamping because it's just there's no way to make him take that character from his original time period and bring him. So
right.
It sounds like
and
a blast.
I'm also working on Gate 4.
Ooh.
That's up to 6 episodes, and this basically takes all the monsters from a ton of short stories I did and puts them all in one epic storyline.
I feel you there. I'm doing that myself with something I do on Patreon. So
it's really
fun. Yeah,
it
it's
is
fun.
And it's sort of like a monster version of Suicide Squad.
There you go.
It's this ancient underground gate. Nobody knows what's behind it, and it's trying to break through. So it's these two human characters are gathering all these creatures, as a defense. And that's, basically it. And currently you won't believe who wrote the intro for this.
Oh, that guy's terrible.
Oh,
Bruce
awesome.
by Hunter Shea. Introduction by Hunter Shea.
Yes, not by me.
Wait a minute. Maybe if I put you where my spot is, I might sell a few more copies.
I don't know. I always tell people, if you want to devalue your book, I'll sign it for you.
I'm the same way. Yeah.
And then you and I'm vested in the Carnex anthology.
Yes.
We're going to resurrect that. And
we are. I want to get that anthology going, but I do have something I want to talk to you about that might be a little more besides that. Me and you, I got an idea, and I want to see what you think of it.
Ooh.
All right. What we did was these guys. I did this creature called Carnex. Stands for Carnivore from the Nexus. It was a short story, probably my most read short story, and the creature was so popular with other authors that they started writing Carnex stories, and we had a little series of them. And but short story, 99-cent short stories don't do that great. So I wanted to put together like a definitive edition of it. And if you're writing a balls to the walls creature feature, you kind of have to let Hunter Shea bring his toys. So we're gonna try to. We want to get Hunter in there too. We did do an Indiegogo, but it was during the holidays and taxes, and it was just not a good time. So I'm going to put a little more energy into it, and I'm going to try to get it going like maybe next month, and make a big push and see if we can get the funds to put that together.
Yeah, well, I'll pimp that hard, and I'll tell you, people, you take your tax returns.
Yes.
When daddy passes out from too much of the drink, or mom passes out from too much of the pills, you go into their wallet, take out a few bucks.
Right. Who was that, Uncle Floyd?
This got Soupy Sales kicked off the air.
Yeah, Soupy Sales. That's it. Yeah. But I'm really excited about that. And one day, God willing, if even if I have to tie him up, I'd love to get Hunter to maybe do a little night things work with me on something.
Dude, you could ask me anytime. I will drop everything.
Well, I appreciate it, man.
I'll drop the wife and kids. I'll get that for you.
You don't have to do that. I don't want to be labeled a home wrecker.
Home wrecker Terry M. West. Son of a bitch is the director. Wreck my home.
Hunter tells me that there's something about haunted attractions with you.
Well, no, we were discussing that before we started. I'm not really involved with haunted attractions. I was working for a Halloween company for a few years, and I got these big shows for haunted attractions. So,
tell us a little bit about that, because we're both Halloween junkies.
Okay, you guys, your heads would explode. I did it as a vendor first, and then I said I don't want to be a vendor at this show, so I went to one actually as just a ticket holder, and they're mind-blowing. There's two of them in California here. There's a really big one in Nevada I've never been to, but I'd love to go to. There's two here in the LA area. One's called Scare LA, and the other's called Midsummer Scream. And basically, all the haunted house people all over California, they do mini versions there.
Oh, wow.
So you did the huge area of you just going through these abbreviated versions of haunted attractions.
But it's a whole bunch in one spot.
Yeah, and you get you get all the new Halloween stuff coming out, because they have these around July and August. Right. So like the projections.
Yeah.
Have you seen those?
Home Depot always has like all that stuff now.
They have stuff that is incredible. Like all the new decorations, and then they have guests. They have celebrities. Like Sid Haig's always there.
Oh yeah.
Of just about everyone I've ever gone to, and a few directors. They have a lot of cosplayers that makeup artists from like Face Off, things like that.
Right.
you know.
I was
yeah.
I was telling him, I go, we live in a time where guys our age and people our age are still dressing up for Halloween, and there's a thing called cosplay, and we go and buy it. Like, we all are surrounded. This is my Alice from the Brady Bunch doll. You know what I mean? Like, we all got just a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, there is no photographs of my parents in a costume.
No.
Yeah. Well, you know, I think Hunter, you're about my age. Do you remember for a while there was sort of a ban on Halloween?
In New York?
Well, I don't know about New York.
Yeah, they didn't have it. They tried to do, I know, like super early curfews at one point, and
right,
spreading the whole thing that we're all going to be poisoned by, candy, and it's so ridiculous.
Yeah,
but my parents didn't give a crap, so they would just go out. I don't care.
Hey, you know what doesn't kill them?
I think past the age of 8, they wasn't even checking candy anymore.
Yeah. Well, I remember, like, no, we'll send you guys to a church party instead. You can bob for apples. You know what I mean? And for a while, it got really, they sucked all the fun out of it because, one or two isolated, things.
Was this in some Bible Belt town?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There we go. That explains it. Say no more.
One Halloween, my friend and I dressed up was one thing. Went out, then we went home, put on different costumes, and went back out and did another lap. So.
Yeah, I recall doing that. You had those really, really basic, Ben Cooper.
Yeah.
Yep.
Literally, I had a ski mask. I was a terrorist.
Ski mask.
A ski mask and a toy gun, and I was like, I'm a terrorist.
There you go.
I can't tell you how many times I was a bum.
It
used to be a thing, like, oh yeah, what are you? I'm a bum.
Like a hobo, a bum.
Yeah. Give me candy.
You get your,
you get the ashes on your like for a beard.
Yeah. You guys know what the bum's little sack is called? With the stick with the sack? Do you know the name of that? I always
call it hobo sack.
It's actually called a bindle.
A bindle.
A bindle.
Yeah.
Hold on, I gotta write that down.
Yeah, exactly.
I gotta remember that.
That's when you
BINDLL?
I think it's BINDLE.
Look at that! You learned something. Education.
Okay, I gotta look that up.
Yeah, watch everyone goes, no, Hunter, you're wrong.
I have to remember that word. I always call it a hobo bag and a hobo stick.
I love that we live in a time though where there are pop-up Halloween stores, and I'm going. If this thing was here all year, I would just come in and keep buying stuff. Like, I love that they have like a rack of Freddy Krueger sweaters, and it's just beautiful. It's a great time.
You're in California.
Oh, they're open all the time?
Yeah, year round. Halloween Superstore. It's up in the San Bernardino area. They're open year round.
Ooh. Yeah, I'm glad that's not around me.
Right?
It's bad enough I have to resist ordering any stupid thing I see on Amazon or any other website. Yeah. Like, I just spent a fortune on graphic tees from Fright Rags. So I went on a month-long adventure just buying everything I saw.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, all right, stop. Take a break.
I go through that with the horror box services. I'll be like, why the hell am I even ordering this crap? They never send me anything I like.
Right. But you still got to have it.
Have you heard of Don't Eat the Gum?
Don't eat the gum? Mm-hmm. Did you eat it?
They're a store. No, I wouldn't advise it. You might never come back.
Listen, if we ate that baseball card gum and survived.
Right.
You can eat any gum.
It's a store indie business, and basically it's like a horror subscription, but you send them a list of what you like.
Okay, so they're tailoring it to what you like.
They tailor it to you, yeah. They're pretty cool. The reason I call it Don't Eat the Gum is they send you 30-euro, wax packs.
That's tremendous. I'm going to look that up later.
But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. So
yeah.
It's good. That's one I don't like the other ones because I'll get something I hate.
Yeah, exactly.
So don't bother with it.
I can't let you go, and I have to go back to this.
Okay.
Do you have any Caroline Monroe stories?
Ooh.
That you can share with the class? Other than you leering.
Yeah, right. other than me humming in my head. You don't drink those love.
Now, did you ever do a scene with her, or you were just on the movie set with her?
No. I was just.
Oh,
directing.
you were directing. So yeah, you were talking to her all the time.
Right. But what was cool was her and Aldo Sembrell were in Sinbad Eye of the Tiger together.
Oh wow!
So that was kind of a geek thing for me. I have more interesting Aldo Sembrell stories than I do because Carolyn was only there for like one day.
Oh, okay.
You know?
So give us one interesting Aldo story.
Well,
Aldo.
He wasn't really good with English. So, and we were having a hard time getting some dialogue from him. So, like, he had to parrot me. Like,
really?
I was sitting in his eye line where Carolyn Monroe was supposed to be because it was their scene together.
Right.
And deliver the lines and, with the nuances, and he would just recite it back.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty wild.
So you were the actor.
Yeah. He gave me his autobiography, and I can't read it because it's in Spanish. He wrote me a note. For all I could say, could be threatening my whole family.
Oh, even the notes in Spanish? Oh, okay.
Yeah. But he's a sweetheart. He was a great guy, Of course, I loved him from, Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Who was he in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
He was just one of the bad guys that got shot. He wasn't like a major character, but he was in it.
I will give you... Jack, were you with us when we saw that at the Avon?
Saw what?
Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
No, it wasn't.
Oh. We went... Oh, my God. It's got to be over 10 years ago. Eli Wallach was there.
Oh, I remember when that happened.
It was a one-time showing of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with 20 minutes of footage that they had found. When It was a lot of Tuco footage.
Right.
So Eli came out, did a little talk at the beginning, and then at the end you got to go meet him, and he was selling a book or whatever too. He was the nicest guy.
Yeah.
Then and it was just I could have stayed in that movie theater all my life.
Right.
I mean, literally, we just did not want to leave.
Yeah.
No.
The cool thing was I brought my dad, who he introduced me to westerns, and that was his favorite western. So it was that was like that was one of those magic nights.
Mm-hmm.
And he was Mr. Freeze once.
Was on the Batman series?
Yeah.
Who was?
Eli Wallach. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong. Somebody's going to go nuts on the comments.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Let me go to IMDb.
Now, yeah, you could double check me on that. I'm probably wrong. As a filmmaker, do you watch horror movies now with that sort of critical insider eye, where you're like, oh, I know how they did that, or oh, that looks like crap, or
yeah. I mean, you see the mechanics, because honestly, what taught me filmmaking was films, and I'll tell you, the films that taught me the most about filmmaking were Romero's,
Mm-hmm.
And he's extremely underrated as a technician.
Considering the budgets that he worked with and just the scope of, say, even of Dawn of the Dead is amazing.
But do you remember Night of the Living Dead?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
When Ben goes to that front door and he clobbers someone in the face and the guy backs up and the camera just swipes and you see about 15 zombies.
Right.
And that movement, to me, that was just masterful.
Yeah.
The way that he shot things, the angles he picked and stuff. I mean, he was really, really, he really had an eye. He was very talented. But honestly, though, my favorite Romero film right below that is probably Martin.
I was going to say it has to be Martin.
Yeah. Martin's incredible. I'm friends with John Amplis on Facebook, and I'm just totally obsessed with that movie. It's just such a great movie because I'm always like, he was a vampire. No, he was crazy.
I have a $5 copy.
How do you know that? And he's like, Romero told me, and I'm like, well, he's wrong.
Well, you gonna go against Romero? No.
Yeah.
Are there any newer movies like The Witch or Hereditary or It Follows or anything like? What are some of the newer movies that have like blown your socks off?
Well, I was a fan of It Follows. I know it had some haters, but I thought it was pretty well done. I'll tell you what really surprised me was Unfriended.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what?
Was it Unfriended?
Unfriended was the good one.
Yeah, Unfriended with the girl from Fear the Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
And it was about the ghost or whatever that friends everybody, and then they can't unfriend her.
Right.
I thought that was really, really well done. Hereditary I haven't seen yet, but I'm amazed.
I love that movie. They take a big swing, so I think you'll enjoy it on some kind of level.
I've made sure not to read anything about it because I do want to see it eventually.
If you can enjoy the technical aspects of filmmaking, this will. There are some moments in this where you go, I don't understand how this is a first-time director.
Yeah. Okay. I'm anxious to see it then. Mother.
I can't believe you mentioned Mother. This is Jack and I's divorce is going to be because of Mother.
Oh well, who's for and who's against?
I hated that movie.
And I love that movie. My wife, who's really horror for her. It's not her big thing. I actually fell asleep and she watched it and she insisted I watch it with her again.
Wow.
And she just made me go through the whole thing and I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was a really, really good movie.
From a filmmaking perspective, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's really well done.
Is. Right.
That movie's
a little heavy-handed here and there. Sure.
A little bit.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
feeding the baby. To
Hellboy heavy-handed.
That was messed up.
Oh my God.
But you get the symbolism. You know what I mean? I mean, it's all It
was so funny because I came out of it thinking one thing. I came out of it doing the whole. I was going with the artist perspective.
Right.
Creating art and destroying art, and I was so fixated on that. I never thought of the biblical implications, and that was the smack you in the face stuff. But I was just going, "Oh, this has to be deeper." So I think this is it, and I latched onto that.
You got Adam and Eve, you got Cain and Abel. You know what I mean? It's just
Tower of Babel. I mean, you got
Tower of Babel.
Stuff in there.
Kristen Wiig.
Yeah, Kristen Wiig. She was good. I was really impressed with her.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing movie that Jack will never watch again.
Yeah.
If it's on cable, I will watch it again.
Hunter.
All right, so Jack, I think we better wrap this up because, we're going to turn into pumpkins soon.
Yeah,
Terry's over there on the West Coast. He's living the life. Their sun is still out, I'm sure, over there.
Yeah, I'm going to do 5 more podcasts after I get off.
That's right. I'm going to take an Ambien with
every night.
So, but dude, I'm so glad we finally had you on. I mean, this was
me too. This has been a lot of fun. I mean, I really appreciate you having me on.
We could talk to you for hours and hours and hours.
Oh, same here.
Well, we'll have you back again. We'll pick a topic that you clearly are kindred spirit with us. So we got to pick a topic and run with it, and we'll have some fun next time.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea.
Anytime you guys want me, just let me know. I'd love to be on here with you. It's been a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Where's the best place people could find you and your work?
TerryMWest.com. That leads to everything.
Awesome.
That's a West with 3 T's.
That's it.
Follow him.
Terry Terry M is in America.
I'll put it on the screen
again.
I'll put it up on the screen.
My
so everybody follow him, buy his books, and tell him Monster Men sent you.
And when Carnex comes out, support us.
Yes, you're going to be hearing a lot more about Carnex, and Hunter, I'll be getting together with you very soon about the deets, as the kids say.
Yeah, shoot me the deets, man.
You got it, buddy.
You people saw it all happen here.
Deals are made on Monster Men.
That's it.
Awesome. Well, I got to go finish my Hardy Boys book, so let's put a pin in this one and.
Okay. Sounds good, guys. Have a good night. Again, it was a pleasure.
Awesome.
Thanks, dude.
Everybody, we'll see you next time on Monster
Men.
All right.
Monster Men, Monster Men.